Hello and welcome to Cinema Savvy. It's myself, George, and tonight I'm bringing you another review from the London Film Festival. This is the biographical drama Just Mercy. For those that may not have heard of this film, this is an upcoming release that may well be, I don't want to say an Oscar heavyweight. I want to say this is a film that will certainly be in a lot of for your consideration campaigns. I've kind of jumped the gun there. What I was trying to say, essentially, this is starring and produced by Michael B. Jordan, starring Jamie Foxx and Brie Larson. This is about the real life story of, if anyone's heard of the lawyer Bryan Stevenson. This is his famous case of Walter Macmillan. I won't go into any more detail other than that, but this is a factual event. There is books on this, and Michael B. Jordan, obviously I mentioned before, previously helped to produce this, and he took the lead role. He plays Bryan Stevenson. Now, for those that may not be aware of the real life sort of situation, Bryan Stevenson's a famous lawyer. He would often go to try and do death row cases. So obviously, if you don't know what death row is, it's when people, essentially going to die. They're put in prison to get the electric chair or whatever. And obviously, over the years, a lot of these were wrongly imprisoned, or they basically had, being on death row, you're going to die. The case of this was he took clients that shouldn't have been on death row. Yes, they may have committed crimes, but he's very much a lawyer that fought for that. And this story, set in, I say the 80s to 90s, goes across the sort of a couple of year period. And this is set in Alabama. And now I'm no geographical, American culturalist, but Alabama is one of those states. The film early on says not a single person has ever been released from death row in the state of Alabama, which is not crazy to think when you are aware of situations like this and seeing how America's kind of not is now, but knowing the history of America and so on overseas, obviously in England, the more we kind of hear about not these stories, but very much there's a culture swing which, looking upon history, England may not have been the finest sort of country in the world, but certainly there have been issues in the past with other countries. Anyway, I'm wafting on this enough to see the film. So I saw this at London Film Festival. Now, as well as this, I was fortunate to attend a 1 hour Michael B. Jordan screen talk. And this was him talking about his career for an hour. He covered everything from The Wire to Creed to Black Panther to Just Mercy. Even mentioned Fantastic for a couple of minutes. So that was really cool. And obviously all this was to help promote this film. Now, I didn't know anything about this film going into it, other than the fact it was a death row film. I didn't know about the real life story of Bryan Stevenson. So this film really hit me by surprise. It was on the Wednesday. It was the last film I saw at the festival, even though some of the films are now slowly coming out. But this was very much a drama that is going to be not with me for... this is a drama that I'm not going to forget. This is one of those kind of films where, there are scenes where a lot of people cried. It's disturbing to watch how not graphic it is, but the realism with it. It hits you rather than bottling out of any kind of, here's us talking about how bad we've been treated or etc. It shows it, and I think that has such a lasting impact on yourself, and it really does into the case. So I think Michael B. Jordan is great in this as the lead role. I don't think he's a standout. I think he's good. I'm happy he helped produce it. Obviously, I guess now with stuff like Black Panther with Creed, he's slowly going to the producing side of stuff. And, why not? He's got the ability to get these projects, greenlit. And if it's a story he wants to tell, and certainly in this case he did, it's, I think, something that, again, as I mentioned, someone overseas, that it educates us on stuff like this. Obviously, there's a book as well, which I have tracked down, which I would like to read over the coming months to know more about Bryan Stevenson. But the real standout of this is Jamie Foxx as Walter Macmillan. He's wrongly imprisoned from the get-go. As the film progresses, it's so clear how innocent he is, and he's fantastic in it. It's not the sort of the cocky, arrogant Jamie Foxx that not that we've seen a lot. But you think of Django, you think of Baby Driver. He's kind of got that swagger with himself, and he's so toned down. Obviously, he's playing someone on death row, but his character has a very interesting arc, and he begins as this sort of hopeless individual that's accepted his fate. That's he's ready essentially for what happens, and obviously enter Michael B. Jordan's character as the film evolves. And one thing that goes inside with this is that Jamie Foxx is obviously playing one death row. There are many there's sort of, I'd say, 3 death row characters. I've forgotten the character names, but you have O'Shea Jackson Jr., Ice Cube's son, for those anyone that saw Straight Outta Compton. He plays one of the death row inmates. Then we've also got Ron Clinton Smith, who you may know as one of the detectives from Stranger Things. He plays another inmate on death row. Now, we're going to give any spoilers away. This I've not seen The Green Mile, which apparently is one of the saddest scenes in sort of, I don't want to say death row cinema, that sounds horrible, but it has one of those scenes. And what this film did, and there was not a dry eye in the room. There's a scene in which they build up the case, and it's very sort of cinematic tradition that, oh, it's the last minute, they're going to get this approved and this is all going to go well. And the reality is it didn't. And the moment it hits you that this has happened, it proceeds with a 10-minute scene where you could hear people crying minutes before something happens. I've kind of spoiled it here, so apologies, but there is a character on death row that obviously doesn't get out alive. This isn't Jamie Foxx's character. This is a character in the film, and it's one of the hardest scenes to watch. And it puts you in the viewpoint of Michael B. Jordan's Bryan Stevenson, because this is the first time he's ever witnessed this. It's this person's fellowship entered with him, and it is honestly one of the hardest scenes I've had to see in a long time. From the build-up, from the 10 minutes of finding out it's going to happen, to the procedure, the last meal, the music, you have to shave the eyebrows, the hair. It's honestly one of the toughest scenes I think I've seen at a cinema in a very long time, and that's really stayed with me. I don't think that's never just going to leave my head. And I think when this does get its wider release, I think other people will be talking now. I kind of jumped the wagon at the beginning, so I don't think it's going to get nominated for many Oscars. I think this should. I honestly think Jamie Foxx. I don't want to say Jamie Foxx should be nominated for supporting actor, because this year has been one of the strongest years in best supporting actor in as long as I can remember. Normally, best supporting actor, who's won so far in advance. It's a pointless competition. This year, you've got Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Tom Hanks. I don't want to say Jamie Foxx. I don't think he's going to get nominated, but Jamie Foxx may be an outsider. Shia LaBeouf may be an outsider. You've also got Brad Pitt. It's an absolutely incredible year. Lighthouse, Willem Dafoe is they're casting him for it. So there's a lot of films that are going to be put towards this supporting actor, and Jamie Foxx, I think, certainly has the ability to maybe cause an upset, maybe get a nomination. I don't think he will, but certainly looking at the release schedule for this, I mean, these sort of small dramas, how often do these get picked up by major companies? This is Warner Brothers that have chosen to distribute this. When the logo came up at the beginning, I was quite shocked. Warner Bros. Are so confident of their films, especially when it's like a festival or like a drama. You don't really expect it to be a Warner Brothers film, but when it came up, I was like, oh, that's very interesting. They must have picked the rights up, and I believe it's going to get a limited release in Christmas Day in America to qualify for the Oscars, and then it's going to get the usual January rollout. So I think it's very much release date-wise Oscar baity. I don't want to say that it's, again, going to get nominated. I don't think it will, but certainly I think this is a film that has the drama and it has the story to keep you gripped, but also to empathize with the characters in the film. I think there's solid performances around. Brie Larson has a supporting role. She's fine in it, but as I mentioned, Jamie Foxx is the standout. Tim Blake Nelson has some very good scenes. He's only in it for a couple of minutes, but he is great in it, as he always is. But personally, on my own opinion, I know this is quite short. There's not too much to say. Again, with it being real life, it makes it so much harder. There's not really a soundtrack such, but I thought the script's quite tight. But really, it's the story that keeps you gripped with this, and that's what carries you through. It's your feeling towards the characters and your alignment. That's what's getting you to the end of the film. Again, I don't know how it's going to go down with a lot of people. I don't think this will be a case of like Selma. If it doesn't get nominations, there will be sort of a lot of hashtags and whatnot at the Academy. I think this is going to miss that window, but I certainly believe this is a film that people should go and see. This is a film that I think is going to educate a lot of people, and it will leave you wanting to know more, as many factual films do. You get the credit scene where they get writing of what happened to loads more characters in the film, or the real life situation, how that occurred. Again, I'm honest, I didn't know who Bryan Stevenson was, and the more I've learned about him since seeing this, the more I can't even come up with the right word. The more sort of fascinating it's been, but also it's quite sad as well, because he's a Harvard lawyer and he's took up a role working with death row. You got to think, for every failed death row case, it's not like a guy getting locked away forever. The guy is killed. that's how death row works. And there are cases in the past where people have got out, and he was I believe one of the first ones to do it. So I definitely recommend checking this film out, or at least check out some of the real life stuff. I'm interested to read the book written by Bryan Stevenson, and that's something I'll look to do. I've got a couple of other things to get through first, but that was my review of Just Mercy. Apologies, it's quite short, quite random. I'm trying to get through it all. Using this little moment, we'll tell you what's coming. We've got a couple more London Film Festival films coming out. We've also got Terminator in cinemas, which I'm not sure when we're going to be reviewing. I've not got around to seeing it yet. Same with Dr. Sleep. I've not got around to that. There's a couple of films I missed recently. Tate has now gone to Austria, so I'm not sure when he's going to be back. So essentially going to be me and Chris holding 4 again. I'm going to use this to do the usual social media stuff. So check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/cinemasavvy, and on Twitter @cinema_savvy, and on Instagram @cinema_savvy. You're going to find us, check us out on there. We'll have details of when we're doing posts, when we're doing reviews. So it's worth having a look on there. Check out Chris's reaction to the Star Wars Episode 9 trailer. That's a big video. He talks a lot, especially with Disney and the takeover and his thoughts on the new trilogy. So check that out if you want to. And for any of the London Film Festival, we've got interviews with some of the cast and crew, directors from Marriage Story and The Lighthouse. So have a check of our playlist, have a check of our channel, see what you think. If you like us, give us a like, share, comment, even subscribe if you want to. But this is myself signing off, and thank you all for watching.